Let's talk about Patti LuPone's 11-year one-sided feud with Audra McDonald.
It's been that long.
That long.
Yeah, I mean, because Gayle King's messy ass asked Audra McDonald about it, and she was like, I haven't spoken to her in 11 years.
That was clutch.
You would have to ask her, but I don't know. Isn't that incredible?
Yeah.
Like, just someone being so nasty unnecessarily, and then you're like, I literally haven't spoken to them in over a decade. Yeah. Like, I don't. That's proof of. That's her power. That's her power. Well, let's get into it because, first of all, raise your hand if you've read the New Yorker profile of Patti LuPone by Michael Schulman. Okay.
Hey.
All right. That's what we're here for, okay? We are here to give you the tea you need, all right? So I've asked Zach. I'm going to tee you up.
Okay.
He's going to summarize the controversy for us.
Okay, I can do this.
We're all going to be on the same page together.
Where should we start? Does everyone know who Patti LuPone is? Okay, fair.
It's a vibe check show.
Who?
I'd be like, well, it began in 1978 on Long Island.
These are cultured girls.
Culture girls. Okay, so we all know Patti LuPone is a very famous Broadway actor, like legendary, and she's legendary for being a diva. She hates being called a diva, but she does embody the diva personality a lot. I think that's because she played, why did I forget? Evita. She was in Evita. So she now is a Broadway star, and last year she was starring in a show called The Roommate. It was next door to the show Hell's Kitchen, which is a show by Alicia Keys, which stars Kecia Lewis, a Black Broadway icon. And she's been in a lot of Broadway shows. She has been around. The show, because it is a musical, is loud. Patti LuPone hates things that are loud. She's loud. She's loud. She will, even in this profile in the New Yorker, if you're at dinner next to her and you talk too loud, she will tell you to shut up.
It's so straight. Yes, and I love you bring up this moment. She's being interviewed by the journalist in the restaurant and dinner in New York, and they're talking. She's like, can they, and it's just, but after she's like, I miss New York in the 70s when it was tough and messy and you could do, I'm like, so you get to act this way. To Sam's point, you get to be loud. You get to embody that it's New York. You got to be tough or leave. Everybody else has to be gentrified around.
I love that you bring that up because she is sensitive while being strong, which, is a great thing sometimes. So in 2024, she then calls the head of the Schubert organization. So in Broadway, there's like 4 organizations that own all the theaters. The Schuberts are like the most powerful family. She calls them and she's like, hey, y'all need to change the music cues in Hell's Kitchen right now. And they do it. And she thinks
they changed the music cues of a show while it is on its
Broadway.
current run. That is an abomination.
It's like, and I get it. It's Patti fucking LuPone. She's very influential in this industry. But yeah, it's a bit like your neighbors having a party and you're frustrated with the music. And you call the head of the corporation that not only owns your building, but like every building on the block.
So they had to rearrange the show?
Apparently it was the bass. Like the bass was like really loud.
You know them black folks in that bass.
I know, black folks.
That I'm glad you pointed out because that's very much the undertone of what was going on.
It's a black show.
Kecia Davis spoke about it and said...
Yeah,
and Kecia Lewis spoke about it and said, that there are racial undertones to this.
And then she posts about it on Instagram saying that you're a bully, and I had the language, I forgot it backstage, but she's like, Patti, you're being a bully. You don't need to tell us to be quiet. And also, look at how that looks. You're telling the black show on the big black show on Broadway that you're being too loud. So Audra McDonald agreed and reposted Kecia's post.
I don't even know if she reposted it. I think she just put some emojis.
She put some emojis. I think something. She engaged with it.
Yeah.
And that was that. We heard nothing more. It's only been a year, too. It's been a year. Michael Schulman, the iconic theater writer, brings this up in this interview of Patti LuPone, this profile of her. She's currently up for a Tony, so is Audra McDonald. Audra McDonald has 6 wins. Patti LuPone has 2 wins. Those are very important numbers. Audra McDonald is the most celebrated and winning performer on Broadway. Whether you're black, white, male, female, anything, she is the top. It comes up. Patti LuPone's like, they ask her, how did you feel about Kecia Lewis posting this? And she's like, who is she? She's not a veteran. I've done 31 shows. She's done 8. Come back to me when she's done 28.
Well, and then she called her a bitch, right?
Yeah. She said, like, bitch was how she ended that sentence.
And then Audra McDonald comes up. Michael Schulman asks her about that. And he's like, what do you think of that? And she goes, Audra's not a friend, or that's typically how she acts.
That's how, and like not a friend with a D.
Yes, not a friend with a D. And then she goes, this was the shadiest part, when she's asked how she feels about Audra playing Mama Rose in Gypsy, which Audra is currently on Broadway doing.
Which Patti's done before.
Patti's done. Patti was her comeback role. She stops speaking for 15 seconds, looks outside, and turns back to Michael Schulman of The New Yorker and says, isn't it beautiful outside? And the interview ends.
Levels of
She
rude. Now
really
you
thought
see.
she ate with
now
that.
She
you
thought she
see.
ate.
She really thought she ate with
Yeah.
that.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
now we're all on this. This is crazy, right?
Yeah.
Like it's so rude. It says so much about her. The other thing I wanted to note is early in the profile, she rants a lot about politics, and she hasn't been a stranger, right, of speaking out against Trump and all of that kind of stuff, and that's part of her persona. But it was really interesting because she rants a lot about politics and like one of those people who's like, New York should leave the rest of the country. It's better than everything and da da da. But later on in the profile, it notes that her longtime collaborator, David Mamet, who was like a full-on Trump supporter, like very loudly, a lot of people have had to like distance him. She still collaborates with him.
Yeah.
And so, there's this pattern of what she expects of other people and what she seems to expect of herself.
1,000%. And this hits a nerve too on Broadway. I've worked on Broadway for now 5 years.
Tony
Award
Award-winning
winning.
producer.
Thank you.
Jinx.
Yes.
Jinx.
Always.
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 Listen, if your girls don't stand up for you like that on your accomplishment, get you some new girls, okay?
The
Get
elders
you some
stand
new
up for the youth.
Yes. Yes.
Okay,
Baby
so
girl.
as a Tony winner who is black,
You and Audra.
Me and Audra, I have one, she has 6. She has like the real one. I have a producing one, which
No,
is real.
no, stop.
It's real.
Stop right now.
But
That's also what
It's
your girls
real.
should do
Thank
for you.
It's
But
real.
She was on set. Like, let me tell you something. The one job I don't want in the world is a Broadway actor. They do 8 shows a week, nonstop. That is labor. And when you see Audra, has anyone seen Audra on stage? Gypsy. Oh
Her
my
whole
god.
I mean, first of all, I've seen her in Gypsy. I saw her recently. I took someone on a date. And it
That's
was
a good
incredible.
date.
I'm good at what I do. It was a good date. I just remember this is being recorded. It's fine.
Is he gonna hear it?
It's fine. But I also saw her a few years ago with, I'm going to mess up the title, Frankie and Johnny at the Claire de Lune, the revival of the play, which is to say, it was co-starring Michael Shannon. They begin the play butt naked, like the curtains open and they're both
Patty?
no, Audra McDonald
okay.
and Michael Shannon, traumatizing, are just naked on stage. Like she is a performer who just gives her everything and her esteem. Those 6 Tonys are not just a testimony to her talent. This is an industry award. Those are her peers who over and over again, she's won an award, I think, in every possible category, supporting plays, music. It's just to disrespect her. I hate to say that everything takes it to Beyonce, but what I want to say is I think it's important for us to pay attention to how people in our life and society treat powerful, successful Black women. They are a proxy for their thoughts, really about the rest of us, but certainly for Black women in general. And I think that's happening with Kecia
She would
Lewis.
never call in an interview with a New Yorker another thespian a bitch.
Well,
You're not gonna do that. You know, she knows.
you're correct.
Patty though.
You're correct.
Did she also call someone else a bitch?
She does. What people missed in the article, surprisingly, is that she does call Glenn Close a bitch. But
she does?
She's quoting herself from back in the day. Because Glenn Close stole her role on Sunset Boulevard, and she was like, Glenn
Didn't
Close
steal it. Got it.
Got it. Yeah. Glenn Close came and sat next to her and apologized and said, I had nothing to do with taking your role. And she said, I thought you lying bitch. And like that's
And even that was an interesting tell to me. I thought.
Yeah, she
you
didn't say
liked
it to her face.
She didn't say it to her
Yeah.
face.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. There's part of what I wanted to talk about was the way in which I think, and you see this in different places, right? Boston, the Northeast is definitely a place that is continuing to reckon with like liberal politics and racism, right? You're not above it. I think in the arts, you see a lot of people like Patti LuPone who are like, I'm the outcast, I'm the artist outsider. And they are in many ways, but also it's like you live in a penthouse apartment that overlooks Central Park.
Yeah.
Like, and even if you didn't, even if you were still just an indie artist, living down in the Bowery, being an artist doesn't give you a right to be an asshole.
Yeah.
Well, and so often in creative industries, we assume that's just par for the course.
Yeah.
A visionary creative genius, well, they must be an asshole. No, you don't have to be.
You really don't.
Audra's not.
Sure isn't.
Yeah,
Audra's not.
What I think is disappointing about the whole situation is that we all lived through George Floyd in 2020. We all allegedly bought those books and read them in 2020. Patti LuPone has been called to the mat many times for her behaviors. And in this moment, when talking to one of the most powerful theater writers in the world, Michael Schulman, she's not even thinking about how her words could impact the person receiving them. She's not even considering black people. She's not even considering the fact that the reason why she's in 28 shows is because there are more roles for white women on Broadway than there are black women. So Kecia couldn't even do that many because it's not possible for her. And that's what's disappointing in the situation.
I've been thinking a lot about what the profile and the response to it says about the state of this kind of media. And as soon as you said that we're going to talk about this for the show, I said, you know what? This is a testament to the power of the well-reported celebrity profile.
Yeah.
There's a cultural relevance and importance for that kind of unfettered journalistic access to powerful people over time. So much of entertainment coverage has become social media focused, junket based, short, quick hits that are meant to be viral and not deep.
Yeah.
I believe in the profile. I love it. We do modern scriptures because I was so obsessed with the profile of Melissa McCarthy.
Yeah.
I think that like seeing this story and how it's reverberated is just a testament to the need for continued deep coverage of the arts.
Yeah. And like, applaud that. And yeah, you're right. I mean, Michael Schulman, he spends a lot of time with her, a lot of different locations. They go to a hockey game. It turns out she's a hockey fan. Spend times with her in her house, several meals.
You need
Giving
that.
her as a subject the opportunity to just really talk and in different contexts. You know, I think it's important to see how she's interacting with those young women in the restaurant, you know, because so the problem with a lot of media is it's basically media coverage is just turned into PR.
Yeah.
You
Are looking for viral clips.
Yeah, you often get 45 minutes with these people in a hotel room. Their publicist
That's
is
a lot.
right there going, don't you talk about Hell's Kitchen or whatever. And instead, he's just like sitting alone in Patty's living room.
Yeah. Also, speaking of publicists, the second big thought I had over this topic was like, we need to re-empower publicists sometimes.
Bring them back.
Bring them
Where
back.
are they?
My theory is that during that first COVID lockdown, every celebrity was like, I can do it myself. I'm on Instagram.
And
I'm
look
posting.
at
I'm
'em.
TikToking. No.
Look at 'em.
You need someone to tell you to shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
And listen to them.
You see Chris Brown posting free Tory Lanez, and then like the next
And now
day,
he's in jail.
He got arrested.
He got arrested.
A black woman on TikTok said free Tory. The universe said free you.
Yeah. And
It's
like,
crazy.
Yeah. So like I am into this as a race story, but I'm also into this as a media story, and it just contains a multitude.
It does.
I wanted to ask you, Zach, as a Tony Award-winning producer.
Yes.
You know, it's interesting. You know, I was a theater kid, you know, once upon a time. And, you know, drag, theater, a lot of the arts are refuge for all of us, certainly queer people, but all of us to, you know, liberate. And to her credit, I do understand that is part of what Patti LuPone represents.
Yeah.
She represents the woman who speaks up.
Yeah.
You know, and it's not, now she's just kind of taking it too far. And so I have empathy for that. But I guess what I wanted to ask you is, I feel like I mentioned David Mamet, for example. You talk about the Schubert organization. I feel like theater, or at least Broadway, is actually more conservative than we perceive it. Like, I think we perceive it as a...
Because there are gay folks there. We're like, oh, it must be liberal.
And
It's gay.
musicals,
Yeah,
people
all right.
singing
Yeah,
and dancing.
yeah.
But tell me about the politics.
I mean, and we have to go to break in a second, but it's incredibly conservative. And an example I can give you is that I was one of the producers on A Strange Loop, which won the Tony in 2020.
Yes.
2022. It's a show about a black queer man writing a musical about a black queer man. The whole cast is black and queer. It's incredible. It's revolutionary. I love it so much. It's touring right now. It was in Boston last year, actually, funny enough, and which is great. And let me tell you this, and then we'll close. We won the Tony. When you win the Tony for Best Musical, you're supposed to see a huge skyrocket in ticket sales. It's supposed to change everyone's life. Everyone's going to make money. People got jobs forever, et cetera, et cetera. And our show saw a bump. But we quickly realized we're going to have to close pretty soon. And we were one of the quickest closing winners ever.
After winning the
After
Tony.
winning.
Best.
And when we began exploring a tour, all the major theater owners around the country, which are the real deciders in the Tonys too, these are people that are voting, they were like, no, we're good. We're not going to program this. It's not going to be financially viable for us. No one's going to come. And so I had to go beg pharmaceutical companies, Gilead, for instance, had to pay for this show to begin its tour. And we're slowly making it work as we go. And as we go places, it does sell. We played in LA at a house that was bigger than any Broadway house.
I was
sold
there
out.
with you.
You were there. So it shows me that, like, you gotta bet on us. People will show up for us. They will show up for this art. They will show up for Black people. You just gotta support us. And that's what Patti's not doing. She's not supporting other Black women.
Or respecting.
Yeah, or respecting them. And that's why, everyone's kind of very, very upset about this. But with that, we do need to take a quick break because we have to talk about sex after this.
Oh, right.
So we have a whole other thing. So we'll take a quick break. I can't talk. We'll be right back with more Vibe Check.
All right.